I'm gonna cool. We're recording on Zoom, and then I'm gonna try it on Audacity too, just so we have a backup. But
Yeah.
all right, everybody, welcome to week 2 of the Dig Route. I am your co-host TJ, alongside Justin for another episode. I am shocked, Justin, that we've made it to number 2. I thought the wheels were going to fall off and we weren't going to come back, but here we are for week 2.
You know, man, I think we got a lot of really great feedback from a lot of people, and
We did.
it was very encouraging. And I thought, week 2 is it's a must at this point.
Yeah. Mike Brown did not take kindly to me saying that I think the Bengals could beat the Eagles. He did not agree with me.
And you know what, man, we will find out.
That's the beautiful part about football, man, is all of this stuff gets a chance to play it out on the field. But talking about playing it out on the field, or not in this case, with everything going on with COVID-19, for whatever reason, the NFL is insisting on keeping the draft on April 23rd. What are your thoughts on that, man? I have mine, but I wanted to hear yours first.
I'm not surprised. This is Roger Goodell and the NFL that we're talking about here, who's been, since the day that he got brought on, one of the most controversial commissioners that any league has ever seen. So for him to do this is not surprising to me. I understand the logic. You did majority of your pre-draft process already being the NFL. You got lucky and you had your combine and you were able to do that due diligence and have player interviews and such. And I think they're looking at that as like, okay, we got into step 1. Now step 2 is the draft, and we can go on from there.
Absolutely. I just hope they have a plan for all of the little things that are going to happen.
I don't think they do, man.
I think they're just going to say, we'll figure it out. And that's a terrible thing to do, to take that attitude towards this pre-draft process, where this is a chance for a lot of the bottom tier guys to make a name for themselves and to make an impression in a coach's meeting. Like,
Absolutely.
those are happening via Zoom.
Or in a pro day. You guys, right. You got guys who are random wide receivers that play for the University of Oregon that will be trying to showcase themselves when Justin Herbert's trying to bump his draft stock up. So it's all these little things that we can't account for anymore,
Yeah, and I think even from like an agent's perspective, I follow Nicole Lynn on Twitter, and she was talking or asking for clarification on, normally during the pre-draft process, each team has 30 visits that they can have from prospects coming to their facility.
Mm-hmm.
But with this Zoom, from what I was looking and reading through that conversation, it seems like there's no real limit to how many of these virtual meetings you can have. So from that aspect, I think there's some possibility of prospects maybe getting called to a visit via Zoom or Skype or some FaceTime, however they're going to get in touch. So I think there's some kind of positive there, that there might be more opportunities, but I think that's kind of grasping at straws.
But to me, man, I'm looking at that as a phone interview or a Skype interview. I went on a job interview one time for a sports team. I'm not going to mention the name in case, we ever become big one day. And the first round of interviews was not with a person. It was on the computer, and it was a screen prompting me questions, and they recorded me asking me questions.
Yep.
That is the complete opposite of interpersonal communication.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I did one of those too, and I'll name the team because I don't give a damn. But it was with the Mets. And,
me too.
Oh, and yeah, I think it's just to screen people out. I think it's just an effort.
But
thing.
I don't think that gives you a sense of a person whatsoever at all.
No, I don't. But I think the visits are more like this. It's more conversational than it is like in front of a prompt screen or anything like that.
Sure.
So I think it's a little bit more personal. But I totally understand your point and everything going along with that, because part of it is just seeing somebody. Maybe you notice something in person. If
their
you follow
body language, they can have like a weird tick in their hand that like you.
Right.
Anything's possible, man.
Yeah, if you follow Matt Miller on Twitter, he says that in the fall he can scout the players all he wants on tape, but where it really comes through is when he gets to see them in person. So if he goes to a game or if he goes to the Senior Bowl, that's his biggest chance to scout these folks. And I think that's the same thing with a lot of these teams where the scouts have seen them play, and then they're bringing that knowledge, or normally bring that knowledge, into the war room and into those pre-draft meetings with candidates. So I'm not shocked, like you said. I'm not shocked that this is the route they're taking, because this is the only thing that's really continually still going.
It is.
And like what some of the teams have to do is they're having virtual meetings, but 3 people meet up at a house because that's about as many people as you're going to get, and then they host the meeting for everyone else. But it's just really, really interesting how they're still moving forward. Like maybe try pushing it back 2 weeks. I think that is something fair, is push
especially
it back 2 weeks.
since you're not having the whole pomp and circumstance anymore. Like,
Right.
What's the harm? Like, what you've already lost money, I'm sure, in various revenue streams, with the whole Vegas situation. But at this point, if you're going to do it all digitally, then why not just push it? I don't see a loss there.
Right.
Because at this point, you get more backlash. It's more bad than it is good for you at this point.
How are trades going to be called in? Like how
Roger Goodell's randomly going to call in. I have no idea.
Like, because that's normally how it goes, is everyone's in that one room together, and you have people fielding calls from certain teams. But I was reading a column this morning, and basically what they were saying is like one scout is going to be responsible for like 5 teams, and they're going to be the person that fields the calls. But then that person has to relay the trade to the GM, and then has to get it back to the other GM. Like how is that? I don't think there's going to be a lot of trades, at least draft night.
No.
There's going to be very few trades, which for for the draft in general, a lot of fans, I think, want their team to trade back and get more picks. I don't necessarily know why. It's a thing that's one of the most cliche, easier said than done things.
They call it a pick swap, right? So it's you sending some random bum player away for a 6th-round draft pick, sending another guy away for a 5th, and you're just stockpiling all these guys because eventually you're going to hit on a 5th-round pick like a Marvin Jones. You'll get a 7th-round pick that kind of hits for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why they do that, to be advantageous. But
I meant more from like a blockbuster trade up or trade down, like the Redskins to the Rams for RG3, like the Rams to the who they even trade for Jared Goff.
The Browns Falcons deal.
Oh yeah, Browns Falcons
for Julio. Yeah.
So those are the kind of deals that I don't think are going to necessarily happen as much. Those are the kinds of deals that fans want, because they saw the return that that the Redskins got, and think that that's going to be the norm for their team. And like I get it, but it's much easier said than done because every team is trying to do that. So from a standpoint of how to call that in, and I hope what they do at least is give 5 more minutes. Like, yeah, it's going to be annoying if a team has 20 minutes to make a pick, and how that, I don't know if that's necessarily going to make good TV, but I think from a practicality standpoint, we need that time. Not I say we, but the NFL teams need that time to really communicate, because they're not going to be in person. They're going to have to do this virtually and have 30 to 40 people in a Zoom, and have to call and have to talk through a pick, and then have to phone in a pick. Like, everything is more complicated, and that's just that one piece of it. There's a whole bunch of other things, but just from a draft night practicality standpoint, that I don't know how you're going to see, if you're going to see any trades. Did you see Adam Schefter's idea?
I think I missed it.
He suggests 1 night per.
Oh, I read this on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. One night for, I think he did it on Get Up with Greeny. Each round is 1 night, and you go through, and it takes, as long as it takes to get through that one round. So I didn't necessarily hate it.
No time limits on that?
I'm sure there would be time limits, but just from a, so you don't have to worry about doing 3 rounds in a day, via Zoom. You break it up a little bit. You maintain your status as being the only show in town, and you get more ad revenue to make up for the revenues that you would have gotten doing it in Vegas. So I don't know. I think it's something.
I see the point. You have a 5 to 6 hour TV broadcast on a night.
Right.
I mean, nobody's going to tune in.
I'm not watching that.
Nobody's tuning in on round 7.
I'm going to watch the first round, and I'm going to watch the second round. And I think that'll be it. And
I got to be honest with you, man. I love the draft process. I'm such a nerd about all this. I thoroughly enjoy watching the combine. Before they reformatted it to make it more enjoyable to watch, I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So for me, obviously the whole situation is just all out of control. But I 100 wholeheartedly would have pushed this back. And there are 2 teams that are kind of advantageous out of this, and it's fortunately for me the Bengals and the Lions who coached kids during the Senior Bowl.
Right.
So
They got a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, you're the only ones that really got this extra experience. Yeah, NFL teams were at the combine, but these two teams have
Right. They got to run them through drills. They got to see how they act in practice.
See how they like respond to coaching. Yeah, all the above, man.
That's going to be really interesting because I think Detroit.
I think that's huge.
I think Detroit is the most interesting team in the first round just because of where they are. Because the Bengals are picking Burrow. The Redskins, they're 98% going to take Chase Young. I give a little bit of leeway because you never know with Washington what they're going to do. And then you have Detroit, who is someone going to trade up? Do they like somebody? Does Matt Patricia like what's the kid from Clemson? Isaiah Simpson, is that his name? Do they like him enough? Him being versatile enough to be like a Jamie Collins in Patricia's defense in New England? Like, do they like him like that? Like, does Miami or LA blow them away with a trade offer?
And the thing with Detroit, to me, I mean, they're not that far away from playing decent football. Mm-mm. You lost Matt Stafford last year, heartbreaker. Kenny Golladay is an outstanding wide receiver.
Yep. I love Kenny.
I love Kenny Golladay, man. He has been an absolute wonder for them. Marvin Jones is not a slouch at all.
No.
I like that team. I'm very curious to see what they do.
Yeah, I don't like their team. So I like their team. I just don't like their team. Like, there's nothing. I don't know. I don't like Matt Patricia. I don't like the fact that he has the pencil and a laminated play sheet. Like, I think that's just dumb. Like, unless there's some. But is
that you being a salty Jet fan to a certain extent?
What?
Is that just you being a Jet fan, just not liking New England products?
No. Hey, I'm gonna be Tom Brady's biggest cheerleader this year. I don't. Once a team leaves New England, you're fine with me. Like, you're out. You're gone. Oh well. But I mean, Matt Patricia, I think he's, I don't like him as a coach. I think he's overrated. I think he's a very intelligent guy, and I think he was perfectly suited to be
the defensive coordinator there.
To be a defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. Like, I think that was his role, and
I think that was a lot of guys' role, though.
Yeah. So I think, but really, like, who's coached under Belichick and has done really well in the NFL?
You can argue Bill O'Brien, but I wholeheartedly disagree.
Oh, so okay, we're gonna get to this like later on. I have a list. I tweeted about this week. I have a list, right? A list of people who in the NFL, I just under no circumstance will I ever like them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Chris Jericho, and I just write the list, and once the guy's on the list, he's on the list.
I'm like that with fantasy football, man. I mean, me and Michael Crabtree, just like forget about it.
Right. It's a very similar thing. Bill O'Brien, for the way that he's ruining Deshaun Watson, I'll never forgive him for it. Mm-hmm. He's running Deshaun Watson into New England, and I hate it because I'm one of the biggest Deshaun Watson fans.
Yeah, I know you are.
Ever.
Yeah, he's great.
I was screaming for the Jets to draft him. And they picked Jamal Adams, great player, but not a quarterback, Mm-hmm. So I love him. And if he goes to New England, man, that's going to stink. That's really going to stink. But
this is his contract here?
No, because this will be his
fourth, and they'll pick up the option. So he's going to have 5.
The fifth, then he gets the franchise tag.
Okay, so he's still there.
He's still there. He's still there, unless they screw it up. Which Bill O'Brien, I mean, he is just an absolutely awful coach.
Knucklehead, man.
Him not going for him trying to kick the field goal in Kansas City, I will never understand him. Why not just step on the Chiefs' throat and put the game away?
I don't know.
Like, just go for it, man. Like, at least you're trying. Like, if you fail trying to win,
you come from Bill Belichick, man. Like, a guy who goes for it. Like,
yeah,
Bill Belichick went for like 4th and 15 against the Colts on like their own 31 time, and they lost.
It was even worse. It was 4th and 2. It was an even better call than that. It was 4th and 2.
Yeah, and he missed, and they didn't get it, and they lost. But you know what? That's what happens.
If you lose, I would rather lose trying to win,
absolutely,
than not try to win.
Any day of the week, because at the end of the day, man, what are we here to do, right? You play to win the game, right?
Hello, you play to win the game.
Damn right. The man said it right.
Yes, he did. I love me some Herm Edwards.
Sure you do.
Goodness. Anyway, so my list, Bill O'Brien is on it, right near the top. And then Dan Orlovsky was on it because he, for whatever reason, claims to be like this quarterback guru, and I respect him because he loves Sam Darnold nearly as much as I do. But I mean, like, I can't really take anything he says seriously because he ran out the back of the end zone.
Yes, he did.
But he has a picture of Jared Allen right after that on his bookshelf. The guy who ran him out of the end zone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least he's self-aware enough to admit that. So I appreciate that hardcore. So he's officially off my list. But Jeff Fisher is also on the list.
Really?
Yeah, Jeff 7-9 Fisher. Absolutely.
Oh,
Some of those teams, man. That
I know.
He had great teams and
he had great
couldn't
teams.
get them past 8-8. Rex Ryan is on my list.
I think for me, I only like Jeff Fisher because of Hard Knocks and because I saw how just of a great person he is. That's why I'm a fan. But you strip personality away, football aside. Now the man is a below 500 coach. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. I think that might be it. Like, I'm sure he's a great guy. I just, for someone who says I'm tired of this 7-9 stuff and then goes 7-9.
Uh-huh.
And
you constantly miss.
Right.
Constantly miss.
It's on him. Like, he's the problem. He was the problem. But back to the draft. The another big concern that I have is like with the medicals. Like, how is the team gonna, like, I feel for a guy like Thaddeus Moss who at the combine had found a Jones fracture in his foot. Like, teams can't see that now. Like, they can't
check up on him. They're like, oh, he'll be ready for football activity in about a month.
All they can do is take his doctor's word for it.
Exactly.
Are you going to do that? I mean,
it's like it's like with Tua. Yeah.
But I mean, Tua, like, he plays different positions. So he's still going to be. He's still going to go in the first round.
Absolutely.
He's not.
But you wouldn't be able to get those workouts with Tua where you could see these drills that you want him to do, not the fucking 30-second video.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
That we see posted on Instagram.
No, and those videos I don't really trust them at all. And
no, like Cam Newton doing his pull downs, like, great, man, you look awesome, but I'm watching you for a minute and a half of cut footage. Like,
yeah, we'll get to him later.
I'm sure. Yeah, we will.
We'll get to him later. But when it comes to all of like the medicals, like, I think the biggest way it impacts Tua is does Miami throw in that extra pick to get ahead of, like, between the Chargers and the Dolphins, who's going to add that extra 4th or 5th round pick depending on how they feel about Tua without having seen his hit.
And that's going to be the most uncertain thing in this draft, man. If you're going to try and risk up and trade away, 2 firsts, 3 firsts, and a second, third, like, whatever it may be, whatever this asking price is from presumably Detroit, that could kill your franchise.
Right.
You strike out on this, man, and you trade 5 picks for Tua Tagovailoa, and he's a bust. You got a huge problem on your hand.
Right. I have my own thoughts on Tua, but I'm going to keep quiet about him until he gets into the league. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm not the biggest Tua fan.
Pre Burrow, I love Tua.
Yeah.
I know you're not a Tua fan because of clutch factors and.
No, it's not even that. I just despise Alabama as a program.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyone who comes out of Alabama, don't want any part of them. Give me CeeDee Lamb over Jerry Jeudy just because he played at Alabama. I know, and I'm sure people are gonna be like, "Oh, what an idiot!" But no, I don't want anybody from Alabama.
Man. I will take Derrick Henry if you don't want him. That's
no. Derrick Henry's. He's another guy. He's on my list, and I'm not the biggest fan of him either. And he's a different case, but he's a defensive lineman playing running back. So
yeah.
Like, he's had a phenomenal season. I just think he's gonna have another 2 more years, and that's gonna be it for him.
That's the way most running backs in this league work, apparently.
Yeah, that's
kind of the way the
running back
crumbles now.
Yeah, running back is a waste, a wasted position. But so I mean, back to sorry, we could keep getting sidetracked, but
we're good at that, man.
when it comes to the NFL too, one of the things you pointed out when we're talking offline is how the NFL is going to, like, discipline teams.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
I mean, I just don't understand how, and this goes back to, personality, being a human as well. Like, how are you going to tell teams and anybody in any organization that you can't criticize the NFL for this decision? That's essentially banning freedom of speech, right? You're telling me what I can't say. I can't have an opinion on something that is a global pandemic. I think that is asinine is a great word.
Yeah, I agree with you, because the punishments for speaking out against the draft still happening, right?
Yes.
But yeah, that I don't know. I really don't like that. So I'm a big during all of these labor disputes and everything, I'm a big fan of the shield. I side more times than not on the side of the NFL because that's what's in the collective bargaining agreements, all of the things that happen. When it comes to certain things, I disagree. This is one of them where I think somebody should be able to criticize and at least speak up on behalf of their team that the NFL is asking them to put their coaches and scouts in potential danger by leaving their house.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think it's fair to say, and you'll risk penalty for speaking out about it. It makes no sense to me.
Just so you can make your book,
right? Like take the criticism. Like Roger Goodell, he's
taken it for years.
You made almost $40 million last year. You can deal with somebody saying, "I think you should move the draft for 2 weeks."
Yeah,
I
think you could deal with everyone saying it.
Right. At least give more time to plan it for virtually. Like they're really not giving themselves enough time to make sure that this thing goes off without a hitch. I don't quite understand it.
Man, I always look at the way that the NBA and the NFL conduct themselves and how totally polar opposite it is.
Yeah.
Whereas in the NBA, I think Adam Silver. I think we went over this before. I think Adam Silver is absolutely phenomenal, and you have the most liberal league with the most liberal players. The NFL, you have the most conservative league with the second most liberal players. And that kind of translates into your front office and your management to a certain standpoint. And it doesn't work. And there's a reason we keep seeing butting heads with players in the NFL and the NFLPA and the NFL, just because they never speak the same language. Right. And they never will. Whereas in the NBA, it seems that they're constantly trying to work towards the betterment of the league, of the game, of the fans. Whereas this in the NFL, man, it always, at the end of the day, bottom line seems like $1 in somebody's pocket. And that's why every decision stems from.
Yeah, and I think too with the NBA, the players and owners, or the players were more likely to sit out.
Yeah.
The last time when there was that strike, I think in 2012, 2011, 2012, because that was the second year of the Heatles. That was so they were willing to sit out, and I think that's why there's a little bit more of an even playing ground, because the NBA players kind of put their money where their mouths were and said, we're not playing until we get what we want. And I think from that standpoint, there's now at least a level playing field when it comes to what the Players Association and what the owners want. Yeah. With the NFL, at least with the last collective bargaining agreement in 2010, 2011, the NFL players caved before really anything happened, so that shows that it gives the owners leverage. And yeah, I think that's part of it. Like the owners in the NFL have more leverage than the owners at the NBA do, or the governors in the NBA do. I mean, that's what they're called now. So
no, they are. Yeah, no, they are.
So I think when it comes down to it, the NFL is going to do what it needs to do to make as much money as possible, and the players get some of that money. Like it's not like, there's a revenue sharing of all of this. I do think how they did this collective bargaining agreement was a little bit shady from the standpoint of only needing a simple majority vote with players who weren't on rosters last year voting.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Part of the union.
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I thought that was weird too, man. I don't know. Okay.
I did too. I mean, I think from a standpoint of how it passed. So my understanding of, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, if it had went to that committee at a certain percentage vote, if it was like unanimous, it would have given a recommendation of some sort, and then it would have went to the players but it still ended up going to the players for whatever reason without it being having that percentage. And then a vast majority of the players were bottom tier players who benefit the most from this because there's more roster spots, there's more practice squad spots.
They can get a job back. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
so I'm just going to do some math here. 32 times 52 last year. So there was 1,664. I think there were like 300 players who weren't on a roster who got to vote, is my understanding.
Yeah.
Whether they be on a practice squad or were on injured reserve or something. I mean, that's.
Do you think the way with this CBA, do you think it went down as fast as it went down because of COVID-19? Do you think it played any part in this? Okay.
I don't think it had any part in it because I think what it wanted was
because
Smith.
You couldn't have those meetings.
Right. You wouldn't be able to have those meetings, but I don't think they were thinking of that. I think I think D. Smith and the union knew how important having a deal was for the players because a lot of what it did was to impact the players who had played previously and the players at the bottom of the roster or not even on rosters. Those are the players who have benefited most. So, I mean, like D. Smith benefits from this.
Yeah.
More than, than an Aaron Rodgers, let's say, because the pension goes up, the the health reimbursement account goes up. So the older players and the lower tier players are benefiting more. And that's a larger voting block.
Yeah, for sure.
Than the 17th game. And I know J.J. Watt and Aaron Rodgers and all of them were complaining about that 17th game. What I tell them is take something from the NBA and manage your load. Like, just don't play in a game. Like, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you have that, extra.
It's so much easier said than done, though, because you're comparing 82 games to 17. I mean, that's.
No. I understand that, but it's also a lot more physical than.
100%. That's why there's such few games of it. But I mean, I think that if I'm an NFL player and you're telling me, hey man, you had a rough game. You're totally healthy. Nothing's wrong. You got beat up last game. Why don't you take this one off? The answer is hell no. Hell, and if you agree, I don't know. I kind of question your fortitude a little bit.
So here's the reason I say that is because the game check is only $250,000. That extra game, like it's not spread out or it's not based on what the contract is per game. It's you get paid for 16.
Yeah, but this extra game, man, is going to do so much to playoff implications and seeding. Like this is going to, much like how when the NBA reshuffled the draft lottery this year by shifting that percentage, we saw what happened. The Pelicans jumped from 9 to 1. Like we're going to see crazy variables that we haven't seen before in the NFL. And I don't think the low management would be the. Yeah, I don't know.
See, that was more of saying like if they're going to complain about it, like this is their option to do that. Like sit that 17th game then. Like
no, I get it.
Like they don't have to play it. Like if they want to forfeit that game check, go ahead. Like I'm not going to stop them from doing that because that's their position. Like I'm never going to fault the player for not wanting to play that game for health and safety reasons. Like I get it. Or what you could do is take off more plays for veterans. This is like for veterans. Take off plays or take off a series so that over the course of 17 games, you lose a game of snaps based on the average snaps per game. So like if J.J. Watt, if I'm Bill O'Brien, I don't want to be Bill O'Brien, but in this instance I will be. And J.J. Watt comes up to me and says, hey, like I want to take off, one series in the first half, one series in the second half for all 16 games, and then for all 17 games, and then over the course of that, I'll play 16 games. Like I think if I'm Bill O'Brien, I say absolutely sure, rather than sitting him out an entire game. You know what I mean?
I do.
I'm going to play.
I disagree. I wouldn't go that route.
I'm saying what might happen.
No, I know.
And that's the option that they have, and if they want to take it, I'm not going to fault them for it because it's their body and they can do whatever they want with it,
Yeah.
I hope they play. I hope they choose to play, but that's not really my call. I am excited for the the extra playoff spot because I think 7 and only having one team get a bye makes
that's
all of the games more competitive. I think that's
100%, man.
I think that's the biggest thing for me. Also, I'm very curious how they're going to plan that 17th game because the way it's set right now is you play your division opponents twice. You play at one division in the AFC. You play one division in one conference, one division in the other conference, and then the same place finisher of the two divisions in your conference. And that's your 16-game schedule. I want to see them do a regional rivalry game for that 17th game. So have the Jets and Giants play. Have the Bucks and
you've played the last 2 years, right? That's just the schedule fell that way. But
what they played
2 of the last 3 years, I think.
The Giants and the Jets only played last year. And then they played 2015. They play each other in the postseason.
In the preseason. Yeah, I know.
In the preseason, sorry. They play each other in the preseason.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'm just getting my years mixed up.
So, like the Colts and the Bears would play. Like have the Skins and the Ravens would play. Like have those regional rivalry games. Like have the Chargers and the Rams play to build up the LA rivalry. Like having those regional rivalries, man, I think that would be good for the 17th game. But I'm sure they're going to come up with some random TV special draw of who gets to play who in the 17th.
Flip of the coin. One side of the coin is Roger Goodell's face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But I don't know. I think that's how I would do it. But they don't pay me, so
They don't.
That would be my idea.
I want to get into free agents, but real quick, just you mentioned the Rams. Can we talk about how ugly that logo is? Oh my!
Yeah, we should have talked about that last week. That's terrible.
That's awful.
I do like the Rams head.
Ram head one is cool, but wow,
with the that's terrible.
That
is terrible.
Oh.
So you mentioned it. Thanks for the segue there. Getting a little carried away, but talking about free agency. What are your thoughts on the free agents who are currently left?
So we got the big three. We got Jameis, we have Cam, we have Jadeveon Clowney. Cam Newton's going to start a game next year in the NFL. I'm not positive where. I feel like New England seems like a really safe bet at the moment, but also like you did the Brian Hoyer move. So the lines are a little crossed right there. I think that dude has too much clout and too much stature and too much of a resume to let last year's injury bar him. I don't know. This is a man who screwed me over in fantasy football. So like I said before, going back to Michael Crabtree, you burnt me. I'm out. But I'm not an NFL GM, and I don't have that. They don't have my list. So I would be shocked if Cam Newton is not a starting quarterback in the NFL in week 1.
You think he's going to start week 1, or do you think he's going to start just at any point?
At any point, but I'm quite certain. I'd be shocked if it wasn't week 1.
Where does he go though? That's where I get.
So who's to say he doesn't go to the Chargers on a cheap deal and play there for a year?
Because they have Tyrod Taylor. They love Tyrod.
I think Tyrod has proven time and time again he is not that great of a quarterback.
I didn't say that. I just said I think they like him.
Cool. Hugh Jackson liked him too. I mean, like,
yeah, I'm a big Tyrod fan, but in the betting favorites, were the Jaguars, and then for whatever reason the odds shifted pretty crazy to the Chargers. So Vegas seems to think he's going to the Chargers.
Because why wouldn't he? Because you're not paying.
It makes no sense for him not to.
I can imagine you're not paying Tyrod Taylor a lot of money, and I love grooming a young quarterback. The Bengals did it with Carson Palmer and John Kitna, and I thought it was a great success. I think more teams should try and adopt that style as well. But why wouldn't a guy like Justin Herbert want to learn from a guy like Cam Newton, a physical quarterback who's mobile, who has a strong arm, who's big and tough, and Justin Herbert's 6'5", Cam's 6'4". Like the metrics kind of add up to me.
How old is Tyrod Taylor, do you think?
31.
He's 30. I thought he was much older. I don't know why.
No, I think he came out of VT when he was like 22, and he's just
Yeah.
kind of bounced around the league for a little bit. He had like a year or two in Baltimore before Buffalo.
Yep. Yeah, no, I thought he was older. I was shocked to see that he's only 30. He's in the I guess he just re-signed. He's in the first year of a 2-year, $11 million contract. So very similar to what the Colts signed Jacoby Brissett to last offseason.
Okay.
So I mean, they're paying him to be at least.
How much of that is guaranteed?
Ooh, that's a great question. I was just pulling it up.
Probably like
Guaranteed at signing was 6.
6. Okay. You don't lose a whole lot if you don't go with him. You could also have 3 quarterbacks guaranteed. No team does that anymore. It's just
Right.
not really.
And they have a potential. It's really like a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Because he'd only count $2.5 million against the cap if they cut him next year. So.
So we're ruling New England out completely.
I don't know if I don't know if I rule it out completely. I don't think he's the more likely of the quarterbacks who are open, who are on the market.
He looked pretty clean in that white Patriot jersey, man. I'll be honest.
Man, I like Cam Newton for whatever reason. I don't know why I like him. I think it's the dad
I don't know.
from like 2015. I don't know. I just really like him.
That
I just think he's a good guy.
Awesome.
Like he's fun to watch.
He's entertaining. Yeah,
he is, and I want to see him in a spot where he's going to succeed. And I worry about him going to LA and not succeeding, and then like what happens to him after that. So I think he's going to sign a deal next year with 2021 in mind. And I think he's going to look for this summer place to be a launching spot, kind of like what Teddy Bridgewater's done for the past couple of years in New Orleans. Like he didn't go to New Orleans to be the long-term starter. He went to New Orleans to.
Well, there was always the possibility that he could be the heir apparent to Drew Brees. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So maybe it's a situation like that, but I don't know. I think LA is probably the most likely. And then, maybe I don't know how strongly Jacksonville feels about Gardner Minshew. I don't know.
I like Gardner. I like air raid offense. I like a Mike Leach offense. So that's why. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback, but he was definitely better than Nick Foles in that offense, man. So if that's any metric to judge, I mean, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that's very true. I think Jameis is probably the more likely of the two to go to Jacksonville.
I think Jameis is a backup next year.
Yeah. Peter King had an interesting theory. They think he's going to go to Pittsburgh because to have like a strong disciplinarian type of coach in Mike Tomlin, have one of the best like gunslinger type of audible on the move type of figure it out in the chaos quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. And Roethlisberger, he's probably going to miss a game or two, so it gives him a chance to come in and like spot start.
Do you see how he looks on Instagram? That guy
looks
like
the big burly beard.
Wow.
I'm jealous of his beard. I am jealous of his beard.
I dislike everything about that human being.
Well, I can see why. He doesn't have a great past, but when it comes to him there, I think that could be a good spot. I think he could go back to Tampa Bay and like if he's going to be a
pay cut to be at Tampa Bay. Yeah.
What's up?
He'd have to take a huge pay cut to be at Tampa Bay.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know if I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Jameis Winston. Like if I'm going to be a backup next year, right, which is looking like I'm going to be, like I am the odd man out of this quarterback market. Why wouldn't I? Like, yeah, it'd be a huge slice of humble pie, but come back on a short-term backup kind of contract, learn under Brady, right, in a system that you're familiar with, see how the master kind of executes it, and then come back with that experience to try to start again.
I don't know, man. You're in New England. You just spent $50 million on a quarterback. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to pay another $20 million to have a backup.
No, I'm not saying 20 million. I'm saying if he comes back on like a Tyrod deal, like
That's a massive pay cut.
right.
We're going first round money to
taking a pay cut.
Tyrod Taylor.
He's taking a pay
No,
cut.
no. Absolutely. But I think he'll get more money from another team to be a backup than he will in Tampa Bay.
Right, but can that team offer him Tom Brady and a chance to seriously compete for a championship?
No. I think
so.
I'm also looking at Washington as one. I know they're very big on kind of big on Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Ish. It really depends on who you ask on that team, apparently.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good transition for Dwayne Haskins to kind of be challenged and prove himself a little bit. And I think it'll also be a good way for Jameis Winston to kind of get above in that pecking order. Because you don't have a job right now because Dwayne Haskins has one above you. You're probably a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins. So why don't you take that deal and go prove that to somebody? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I still think, though, they're going to start Dwayne Haskins. Like, regardless of how well – it would be a sham competition. Like, regardless of how well he plays. Like, it was very similar in with the Jets in 2014 when it was Geno and Vic. Like, yeah, Vic was on the tail end of his career, so it's not exactly the same or comparable. But I'm talking from an established veteran coming in to compete with a second-year quarterback who had turnover trouble, as a
not
rookie.
just turnovers, period. Fumbles galore. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So and who is he going to learn from? That's what I think he needs to figure out. Is if I'm him, I want the best opportunity to learn so that I can try to come back. Because he's still young. I think he came out when he was 20, 21.
21. He's like 26, 27 right now.
Right.
He's our age, man. Yeah.
He's young. Yeah. He's still really young. So, I would want. I hope that he goes somewhere where he can learn and to me, if he goes back to Tampa Bay on a backup salary, that to me shows how much he wants to win and how much he wants to learn and how much he does truly want to get better. So I would be an even bigger Jameis Winston fan than I currently am.
I'm really surprised the way his career's gone, to be honest with you.
What's that? What do you mean?
The roller coaster ride that it's been.
Oh yeah.
Because the talent, the arm strength, the talent, the accuracy, it's all very visibly there. It's very apparent to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this guy had when we watched this guy in his technically redshirt freshman year, his sophomore year of college, that first year, oh my God. Like you've never seen a quarterback that looked like that. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
And then because he didn't lose until they played who did they play? Ohio State? Or did they play Ohio State?
Auburn?
No, because they beat Auburn, right?
Now you're challenging my college football knowledge.
Yeah, no. So because I think he went undefeated his freshman year, and then the second year he was undefeated and that was the first year of the playoff. Did they play Oregon? I think it was Oregon. I think it was he played Mariota and lost to Oregon in the semifinal.
That might be it. I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, because 2013 was Kelvin Benjamin to catch it against
yeah, you're right. He lost to Oregon. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that was his only loss in college, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Great numbers, dude. Like really.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, and I think he's been playing blind. He just got LASIK during the offseason, didn't he?
Yeah. So maybe that helps him. Who knows?
I think it does because he's always squinting. So
yeah.
I think it definitely helps him, and I'm excited to see where he goes. And then Jadeveon Clowney, man, I just have absolutely no idea what's going on there. Like, yeah, he had an off year, but how is he not signed yet? He plays a premium.
So
position.
his value actually last year, if you're looking at those PFF grades and everything, it was one of his best years ever. Yes, his sacks were down, but his pressures were up. His forced fumbles were up. He does a lot to disrupt the game. I think he is a Seahawk again at the end of the day because there's not a whole lot else there on the defensive side yet. I think who's the brother? Shaquem Griffin. I think he's going to be a great cornerback. I don't think he's there yet. Bradley McDougall's a fine safety. He's not there yet. You have KJ Wright, who kind of has done a great job at linebacker over the years, and he's the only member of that Legion of Boom that's actually still remaining, which is surprising.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe.
I think he has to. I think Seattle ponies up, and I think they pay him. He's not gonna get what he wants. He's not getting his $20 million, 18 mil, whatever the hell.
Right. That's what I think I'm more surprised at is that they didn't franchise tag him. But I guess that sets his value at a certain number per year.
Correct, because I think that sets his value at like $17.5 million or something like that, which
Yeah,
maybe they don't think he's worth right now.
Right, but I'm shocked that like a bad team wouldn't offer him that kind of money. You know,
A young dude, very little injury history.
who Jadeveon Clowney?
Oh no, he didn't. No, I take it back.
Yeah, no, that's his biggest
did have
thing
a
is
year.
the injury
He did
history.
have a
He's
year.
got the microfracture in the
Yeah.
knee,
Yeah,
and then he also has the
when he was in Houston. Yeah,
that he gives up on his team, like his effort. I think those are the two biggest knocks.
well,
on him.
that's the big contrast between him and JJ Watt, right?
Yeah, and the sacks were down, yeah, and I think maybe I'm scarred because all of the defensive tackles that the Jets have drafted in the first round with a top 5 pick, all they can do is they can pressure the heck out of the quarterback. They just can't bring him down.
Mhm.
So maybe I'm a little bit scorned because of that. So to me,
It's possible.
I don't necessarily like sacks can be down, but there needs to be more like game-changing play, like, you know, for me to at least praise him. But so I mean those 3 were number 1 overall draft picks, and they are still left unsigned.
It's crazy, right?
I don't think that's ever happened before. I think I saw a Schefter tweet that that's the first time that this has happened, at least.
And they were consecutive, correct?
Were they? I think they might have been.
If they weren't, they were damn close to it, man.
Oh, we'll have to take a look at that one. I might take a look at this one. Well, because we're on the subject of free agency and we're done with the first wave, I would say, at this point. So Justin, so far
The big wave is done. Yeah.
so far, who's won free agency and who's lost it in your eyes?
All right. While you look that up, I'll get mine cooking. Who has won free agency? I picked 2 teams.
Okay.
One is maybe expected. The other one I don't think is very expected. One I pick the Cardinals.
Okay.
Home run move, DeAndre Hopkins. I have loved Kyler Murray since the second I saw that dude throw a football when he was a backup to Baker Mayfield. I think he is an outstanding quarterback. That guy would have been an outstanding outfielder in Oakland. He is a great, great, great athlete. And now that he finally has somebody to throw to, I think the Arizona offense actually got pretty scary. And that guy, Kyler, produced great numbers last year for not having anybody.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, you have Larry Fitzgerald. I don't want to, tarnish his legacy, but he is not Larry Fitzgerald anymore. He's, a kind of a shell of himself at this point. But now that you have Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Andy Isabella is a very underrated wide receiver, and you're probably going to draft one as well in the deepest wide receiver class of all time. I think the Cardinals knocked this one out. Also, Bill O'Brien botched the hell out of it, but the Cardinals knocked this one out, and they just reaped the benefits on it.
Oh, yeah.
And then my second winner is the Chargers, actually.
Okay.
I think the Chargers had a really, really great offseason, getting a lot of guys like Brian Bulaga and other pieces to kind of fill in the rest of your team, because all that's really missing right now is your quarterback. I think Austin Eckler is a fine running back. I think you're probably another running back, maybe not a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but maybe like a J.K. Dobbs or somebody in that realm. Jonathan Taylor, maybe. I think that team has set themselves up to draft Justin Herbert or draft Tua or draft their quarterback and run with it. And so long as Anthony Lynn doesn't botch this up, because the Chargers, to me, every time there's expectations, you just fall flat. And every time you're supposed to be terrible, you are a Super Bowl contender. So it's really hard for me to gauge them, especially with him. But I like what I saw a lot. And who lost free agency? The Dallas Cowboys lost free agency.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Why is that?
The Dallas Cowboys overpaid for Amari Dropslot Cooper.
Okay.
I like Amari Cooper. You significantly overpaid for him. And anybody would have overpaid for him. And the Redskins, I don't even think wanted him. They just wanted to kind of drive the price up on you. You spent a crap load on Zeke last year. Absolutely fantastic running back. But we were just talking before how running back is a dead position in the NFL and how it's so hard to maintain. You got a guy that touched the ball 300, 400 times a season. I don't think Zeke Elliott plays through the remainder of his contract. Look at Todd Gurley's contract. What just happened? You pay this guy a boatload of money, and you get 1 year of production out of it. There's not a lot of guarantee in a position like that. And now you're going to pay Dak Prescott a lot of money. So you have tied up 3, yes, marquee position players to an insane amount of money, and making 3 of them 3 of the highest paid players at their position, not really accounting for the rest of your team around you. You know, Michael Gallup is going to be a free agent one day. You're going to have to pay him. You can't afford to pay him because you're paying Dak Prescott $35 million a year.
Yeah, they have an absurd amount of cap space going to like 6 players.
It's crazy. You looked it up right now, right?
No. I remember seeing it. They just have an absurd amount. Like they're so top heavy.
And that's like the Rams too. You know, if you're right there in that championship wheelhouse, man, fire away. You can have $1 in your cap left. I'm all in on it. But if you are not a contender, and the Cowboys and the Rams, not contenders, not even a little bit to me, I don't think spending that much money on those 3 positions is worth it at all.
Absolutely not. So Cam was 2011.
Okay.
Then there was Andrew Luck, Eric Fisher, and then it was Clowney and Winston. So Clowney and Winston were back to back. And then Cam was a few years beforehand.
I knew they were close. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy that Cam has been in the league for a decade already. Like, that's just insane.
That was a fun college season.
Yeah. Oh, that one, because that was our freshman year, right?
Yeah.
2010-11, right?
Yeah, that was our freshman year. Yeah, that got balled. It was awesome.
Yeah. I remember.
We've never seen that. Yeah.
I remember watching him and him against Alabama that year was unbelievable. Yeah. I think that's why I like Cam Newton, is because he beat Alabama 10 years ago. How pathetic am I? So the thing about me to our listeners is I'm more of a hater than I am
such a hater
than a fan of my teams. I think I've spent more time in my life rooting against New England than I have for the Jets.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
I mean, in my defense, New England plays a lot more games. And we'll get to part of why that might be and my bitterness. But so to me, these winners and losers things, I always have a hard time doing them because I don't think you can, like, winning free agency normally means you've set your team up for failure, because winning free agency means that you get the high price free agents. And I've seen a lot of this being a Jets fan. That
have you ever?
Yeah, that you overpay for players. They come in, they have an okay-ish maybe start that gets overhyped, and then for whatever reason they end up falling off. It happens with draft picks that they've signed. It happens with players they've signed from the outside. So I've seen it. I've seen it all. It's also happened with the Browns. It's also happened with the Jaguars. And the thing about them is that the Jaguars have had one good year in the last few years, and that's been about it. The last team that was really successful, like winning free agency, I'll put that in air quotes, was the Broncos. But they had a lot of homegrown talent that year in 2015, and they just added the pieces to it to push them over the top. And that's really what you're supposed to do. That's how you're supposed to build a team, is you get your core and then you add on to the top. And then
you can splurge on. Yeah.
Right. So for me, the winners, I love what's happening in Carolina. I absolutely love it. What Matt Rule is going to be able to do down there. I'm a big fan of Matt Rule, and they have one of my favorite Jets of the last 10 years, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But from being able to gracefully move away from Cam Newton the quarterback that they had for almost 10 years.
That was graceful?
What?
You thought that was graceful?
I thought it was.
I thought it could have been a little better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it could have been.
If I'm Matt Rule, I'm not saying at the NFL Combine that Cam Newton's my quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say that.
I don't think you do. You could just say we're assessing our options and we're taking the best approach to build the best
not for a rookie head coach from college.
No, I think you do. Because now, I don't know. Now he kind of comes across as disingenuous.
I see. I disagree. Just knowing him, but because here's the thing though, his frame of reference could have changed from that point. Like when he said that, he probably meant that he was looking forward to working with Cam, and then they found out and they've gone through this offseason in their build and then realized it's better to move on from him. You know what I mean? Like I think they came to as soon as they realized and knew what they were going to do, that's when they let Cam go. I think. I don't know. I'm probably wrong.
I think it's the politically correct answer to say we're assessing our options. We will move forward the best way possible too.
See, but Joe Judge looks like an idiot for doing that with Daniel Jones. I think he does. He won't even say Daniel Jones.
No, he won't.
So, which I hope. Anyway, so I don't know. To me, I like the Panthers. I like what Robbie Anderson is going to bring to them. I like what Teddy Bridgewater is going to bring with them, and I think them being able to get Matt Rule overall, just as a head coach, that getting him and keeping him away from the Giants, I think was one of the things that's going to set them up greater in the future. And this one's just for you. I think the biggest loser of free agency is the Cincinnati Bengals.
No, I'm sorry, you're fucking with me, right?
No, I'm dead serious. So because it reminds now hear me out here. This reminds me a lot of what the Jets have done in previous years.
Sure.
They've spent a lot of money. I know we talked about this a little bit last week. They're not really used to spending money. They spent a lot of money, but I think they spent it in the wrong places. I looked at that Trey Waynes contract. The Trey Waynes contract's bad. That one I'm not a fan of. That one I'm not a fan of. Absolutely terrible. So just for that, I think they're a loser. Also, so that was just a little dig at you. But I think just from that, I think that pushes them into like, what are you doing? And then I also think them franchise tagging AJ Green. Now I don't know the whole situation, but wouldn't you try to sign AJ Green longer at a cheaper rate than have him for 1 year? That's probably going to be. So this is here, this is not what he's going to get his long-term deal. So he's getting his long-term contract. Is he getting it in Cincinnati? Yes, and it's going somewhere else. And the franchise tag will go away because of it. Okay. The franchise tag is just a placeholder to say, all right, we've got you. You're good. We're going to work this out. And that's what that is. They know that. He knows that. I knows that. But now, couldn't they have tried to work on a deal with him earlier than this? Because now what he does is now he's paid at the average of the top 5 wide receivers. Yes, but you'd also like to see him play a little bit too. We haven't really seen a lot of AJ Green play in the last 2 years. He's played 1 game in the last 2 years. That's fair. So I think that's why you don't shell out the money instantly. And if he were to have become a free agent and hit the open market, honestly, it would have been a bad move, in my opinion, to just go out and sign this man to a 4-year contract. I think that's insane because I don't know how that ankle is going to hold up that he rolled and messed up during training camp last year. I have not a clue in the world. But the way contracts are is that they're 4 years on the surface that the agent announces, and then you get to them and they're really 1-year deals with all the guaranteed money in the 1 year. You know what I mean? So I think, but that wouldn't be like it for a top 10 wide receiver like him. Is he a top 10 wide receiver anymore? Still, I think so. I don't know, man. Because he hasn't played. You could take him out of the argument, but I think his talent alone is when that. I'm not. Yeah, I didn't mean to disparage anything talent wise. I just meant from what he's able to give you. Like I feel like he's just, even when he's healthy, he's not 100% healthy. You know. These days, yes. Yeah, like when was the last time that he was like fully healthy? 2015. Right. When we were beautiful. That's 5 years ago. Like that's so. I know, man. He's got a little beat up, and that's why I didn't want them to just outright sign him. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have been that upset if they would have traded him back at the trade deadline either, because the whole plan was for him to play the year, and that's why they never traded him. And that's why they never put him on IR, was because he was going to play. He was going to play, and he couldn't play. See, I think he was so upset that he didn't want to play. I think he did want to play. I think he was so upset with the way that the injury happened. That I think he just shut himself down, because I think he intended to play, and then he realized how bad the team was, and then didn't play. One thing I love about him, and I think this is a very great segment into just talking about the Bengals and Jets real quick, as we like to do here. Oh damn it! I lost my train of thought. It's all good. And then my other loser is
Mm.
the Texans because Bill O'Brien sucks.
Because Bill O'Brien's
I think
the worst.
I think he's even worse as a GM than he is as a coach, and that's saying something, man. He
Yeah.
is awful.
Mhm.
I don't know what he's doing.
I told you
And
last
then
week. Should have been
he's
fired.
gonna sign Laramie Gas Mask Tunsil to a long-term deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to do that because he already shelled out 2 first-round picks for him.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know what's worse. Trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a second-round pick and a running back who had a good 3 years ago, or trying to get Laramie Tunsil for 2 first-round draft picks. I can't decide which one is worse. See, you're even thinking about it. Which one is really worse?
I'm gonna go DeAndre Hopkins just because he is a game-breaking receiver.
Right.
That's the only reason.
Right.
I value draft picks a lot too, but I'm gonna go DeAndre. DeAndre.
Okay. So
and
now
you traded for a terrible running back.
Yeah. So they're the other loser. And then also I do like what the Bills have been doing.
Me
but I'm
too.
not going to spend a lot of time talking about them because I don't like the Bills. But so talk to me about why I'm wrong. Why are the Bengals in a good position now because they've spent a lot of money?
I mean, you're automatically a better team than you were last year. Just
yeah, but that's not saying much.
hands down. It doesn't matter, man. Like you gotta get worse before you get better. Last year was the worst, and now is when you get better. DJ Reader is a great nose tackle. I think yes, you paid him a premium at his position, but he's also arguably the best nose tackle in the NFL. I said it last week. I think just the willing to spend money and the willing to take these risks and not just bank on your homegrown talent anymore is a massive growing step to me in this team. And whether this free agency becomes something, whether or not, I think that this is a massive move for the Bengals to spend money, for Zach Taylor to kind of stake himself and say, hey, man, give me the keys. Let me do what I want to do. If I fail, I fail. But Marvin Lewis didn't believe in free agency. It was not a thing in him.
Right.
The Bengals have spent $150 million in free agency this year. That's a lot.
That's scary. I mean, I know they have to. And that's
a lot of money.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money to lock up. But so talk to me about Von Bell. Why do you like
Bell? Oh man, I'm so excited about this one. So Von Bell gives you that liberty to. So for those not familiar with the Bengals secondary, it's not the best. It's okay. There's one great safety in the back. His name's Jesse Bates. He's a young kid from Wake Forest. Really, really great. And then there's Sean Williams. Sean Williams is a very hard-hitting safety. Not the best ball skills in the run, but he's a really great hard-hitting. If I want like that pop hit, like you got jacked up, I'm looking at Sean Williams for that. Von Bell now allows you to take Sean Williams and insert him into like a linebacker kind of safety fusion role that we're seeing a lot of in the NFL now, which I'm a huge fan of. Cam Chancellor was a linebacker before he was a safety. Not many people know that. He was the best. So Von Bell opens that up for you, and he graded as the number 4 rushing defense safety in the league last year, which is absolutely fantastic. For a guy who's not great in pass coverage, he has, I think, 10 interceptions on his career, 9 forced fumbles on a career, to go with like 6 or 7 sacks. So the guy gets to the quarterback, he gets to the backfield, which is something that I think you really want out of your secondary. You need somebody with that ability, like Landon Collins. The same type of role. You're not the best in ball coverage, but you have ball skills, but you are a phenomenal run support guy. And I think that for a team that ranked, 30th in the run last year, that's a killer deal, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm pulling for him. I'm not a Bengals hater. I don't hate or
appreciate
anything like that for the Bengals. I hope they never win a Super Bowl, but I'll root for them until they get to the Super Bowl, and then I'll root against them. But yeah, I hope that all I hope it all works out. Like I'm a big fan of Joe Burrows. I like him. I don't think he's like, I'll have to see how he is in the NFL, but he's a gamer. I think that's what I respect most about him.
He is such a gamer.
He's a gamer, and I think that to me means more than any of these other things that we might be looking at.
There's a lot of clips that I've watched on Joe Burrow, not throws that he's done, just like Joe Burrow in the pocket and just the instinct that come.
Yeah,
it's really
special.
It's really impressive.
He's special. Yeah, and so what should we look out for from the Bengals here between now and the draft? Is there anything that can change in their draft plans? What other than Burrow are they looking at?
Like I said, I doubt you trade back into the first round. I think it's going to come down to a lot of pick 33 is very interesting for them because there's not necessarily a direct need there, but it's also going to depend on who falls there. But this is a variable of whether trades are going to be prominent in the NFL during the draft or not. Because if they are, then I think the Bengals should trade back at 33 to get another second pick on top of that. So have 2 seconds if you can to kind of roll with that. And then there, I think you can attack either an interior offensive lineman, or you can go attack a wide receiver if one of those leaps off the board at you, or you can go get a linebacker. Mm-hmm. But it really depends on linebackers because it's going to defend where Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray fall. If they both fall, I think linebackers out of the question until round 3. Yeah,
very cool. So in Jets world,
talk to me about the tarmac.
Yeah, on the tarmac. Brought to you by hopefully one of you sponsors listening to this one day.
JetBlue sounds safe.
Yeah.
That.
Not getting rid of, but letting Robbie Anderson walk. A guy who's developed a great relationship with Sam Darnold, and getting Breshad Perriman in return is one of the more questionable decisions that I've seen in recent Jets history, because a lot of times I've never been perplexed as to the decision like this as I have been, because I think it was only like $4 million more in the first year.
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson. Breshad Perriman had a great last quarter of last season, but that's pretty much all he's done. Other than that, if he had half as much production as he had, he would be considered a bust, and this would be, some.
When was Robbie drafted?
Who?
When was Robbie drafted?
Robbie wasn't.
Robbie was undrafted. Okay.
Yeah, and he was a Temple guy. So, yeah, when it comes to Breshad Perriman, I know he's a deep threat. He has, from that standpoint, a similar skill set, like that he can go deep, he's fast, and that's about it. But the thing Robbie has, he had 2 years of working with Darnold, and the thing that frustrates me the most with the Jets is that they seem to always be building for the next year, and we're sold this same story. So now I'm seeing stories written by the Jets beat saying, "Oh, Jets are on pace for a killer 2021 offseason." I'm sick and tired of winning the offseason.
Yeah,
I am absolutely sick and tired of it.
Because you've won it a lot. You won it last year.
Yes. We won it last year. We won it the year before. Like, it's just absolutely.
Yeah, you got your steal with Jamal Adams. Yeah, it was the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm tired of being sold this. Wait till next year. I'm done waiting for next year.
Yeah.
Build around your quarterback.
Next year.
You've invested so much in Darnold, and I still think he's going to be. I think he's going to be great. I do. I truly believe it. I just am tired of having to wait until next year. Because guess what next year is? Next year is his 4th year. And then you have to give his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
And then you're off of the rookie contract, which is the whole purpose of this is how you win in the NFL. At least the Seahawks have done it recently, is you get the quarterback on a cheap deal. The Eagles did it too. You get the quarterback on a cheap deal, and then you build around it, and then you build from there.
The Rams did it too.
The Rams, you're absolutely wasting Sam Darnold's rookie contract, and for a quarterback who's going to be good, now it's going to be harder to build around him. So this is why I love what the Bills have done is they've given Josh Allen no excuses to not be successful.
Nope, not anymore.
Because they've drafted a running back. They brought in a nice veteran at running back. They've brought in a surefire possession receiver in Cole Beasley last year. They also brought in John Brown, the deep threat, last year, and then they trade for Stephon Diggs, giving them an attacker at all 3 levels of. There's no reason.
Plus
for
that
Josh
kid,
Allen
was it Dawson Knox, the tight end?
Dawson Knox, the tight end,
not bad at all.
And then the offensive line too. They invested heavily in the offensive line, and to me, I just have questions letting Sam just hang out there with kind of a patchwork offensive line. Like, I want to see what they do at 11. I want to see what they do with the draft. But I'm just absolutely tired of waiting. Perpetually, it seems.
And you're gonna be waiting with a new head coach. You know that, right?
I hope.
But that's the problem, man. You're just gonna
Right.
you have all this constant turnover, and how do you sustain yourself as a team? I don't think you can if you just keep having turnover there.
The biggest sign
At the
to
highest
me.
position.
Yeah, the biggest sign to me was letting Mike Maccagnan go through the draft and free agency last year and then fire him. Like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't you just kick him out with Bowles? Like, and then now part of this I know is Gase. Like, I know he got in Christopher Johnson's head. I know that, but come on, man. Like, just be smart. Like, if you bring people in together and they don't succeed, shouldn't they leave together? Like, if you look at the roster,
They should be married together.
right. If you look at the roster that they had last year, or I guess not last year, the year before last, when Todd Bowles got the can, that roster stunk and they won 5
Yeah.
games.
Mm-hmm.
So
Roster was much better last year.
like Todd Bowles had his struggles. He was a terrible, clock manager and game manager and all of that. But he got the best out of some of his players, and he was given a raw deal. So I'm just tired of waiting because I think Joe Douglas, from everything that I'm hearing, and maybe this is because I've been sold this times in the past with Maccagnan and Idzik and all of these people, is that they're the good old boys, But he seems to be a little bit different. He seems to buck the trend of where these GMs have come in and they've tried to make splash signings. Like Tannenbaum was notorious for doing this. The 4 GMs ago.
How many GMs have you had in the last 6 years?
Oh, goodness gracious, man. I don't know.
Is it 4? Yeah.
4 or 5.
Okay. I thought so.
Because it was
you guys changed your GM more than anyone else in the league, like by far.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think the Browns might be worse.
Cleveland might.
Right. So they had Tannenbaum during the good years, and then they tailed off. Where they really screwed this whole team up was after 2012, keeping Rex and getting rid of Tannenbaum. That's what screwed them up, because then we had another 2 years of Rex. Then it was Rex Idzik marriage. Then they got both canned, and then it was Bowles and Maccagnan, and then now it was Gase and Maccagnan, and then Gase got him out. Adam Gase, I'm going to give him another year. I'll give him that second year, but everything we've seen from him in Miami, he's not going to be it. He's riding on Peyton Manning's record-setting season.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago at this point.
Exactly, man. He's been riding that for a long time.
Right.
I've written off Adam Gase a long time ago.
Right.
I'm not sold anymore.
Dowell, yeah, and then his offensive coordinator, I forget his name, because he's not even like a thing. He's not even a thing. Dowell Loggins, I think his name is.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's awful too. I don't know. It's just
plenty
so
of room for you in Cincinnati, dude.
What?
Plenty of room for you in Cincinnati.
No, never.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Joe Burrow is going to be a lot of fun.
So now I've done this before, and I've been on Twitter before about renouncing my fandom and whatnot, but that's really just more so people stop teasing me about it.
If I'm still a Nick fan, you got no excuses.
No, well, yeah, well, I mean, we can talk about that in a second here, but with what's going on there, but man, Adam Gase he's going to ruin Sam Darnold, and the worst part is that not only are he and Joe Douglas boys, and they've been at multiple teams together, they also have the same agent. And that agent, guess who else he represents?
Lay it on me.
Sam Darnold.
I knew that was coming.
So they have the trifecta of team building.
My God.
Jimmy Sexton does. Yeah. So how is Joe Douglas in good faith going to negotiate with Sam Darnold?
You can't.
How? I hope he does. I hope he does, and I hope he can. But to me, I don't know. I hope Gase is out. I don't know. I hope he's out after this year.
I think it's a guarantee that Gase is out. And I'm curious to see how you start the season, because there could be a chance that he doesn't even finish your season.
No, he's absolutely finishing the year.
Says who?
The Jets don't fire coaches mid-year. I don't think they've ever done it.
I'm trying to think of one. I can't right now.
The only person who might know because they traded Herm away.
Yeah, they traded Herm.
That's just the one. So yeah, the Jets are very dysfunctional, but the only thing they don't fire in season.
All right. I'll give you that.
I don't agree with it. I think Gase should have been fired after. There are several games last year he should have been fired after.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. I'm gonna root for him. I'm gonna get the Red Zone channel again and just watch that. And then watch if the Jets make any primetime games.
Such an enjoyable way to watch football, right?
Oh, it is. It's the best way. It's the only way.
It's the best way to watch. I can't believe I haven't done it before until this year.
Oh, I got a student discount.
It changed my life.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I don't know. It's very good. And then did you see Game Pass 2 is free?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah,
it's free right now, right?
Yeah, it's free during this pandemic. But how are things in your neck of the woods? You and your fam doing okay?
Yeah, we're all hanging in there, man.
Good.
Just getting a little stir crazy, but
yeah,
who isn't, right?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm doing okay. I'm an indoor cat, so I don't really, I don't like going.
And New York
outside.
is also pretty. New York and New Jersey are pretty awful right now.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's everything I'm hearing. It's like a nightmare. Seeing that the UNS Comfort coming through.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That
was scary.
You know the last time that was there?
No.
9/11.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. Speaks to the volumes that this is, and people still don't take it seriously. It's actually it's crazy to me. It truly is.
You see all the people like gathered watching that?
Like what are you doing?
Yeah. I think it's people, I realize I'm part of the problem. Like I went to Lowe's tonight, when I probably didn't need to. I went to my wife and I are mulching our front yard, and we needed to get a tarp and cinder blocks because the mulch is, just sitting by our driveway. So we needed to cover it in case it rains or whatnot. But like I could have ordered that for delivery. I didn't need to go out, but I went out and went to Lowe's and, I tried my best to social distance and had my hand sanitizer and all that. But, like that's something that I don't need to do. But I did it. It's just absolutely scary, like how different this world is going to be after this settles down.
Absolutely, man. So for work, for me specifically, like a lot of my events are not run by volunteers, but volunteers are very integral and crucial part. So for an event that calls for 200 volunteers, are 200 people really going to come out now to a random Saturday in the middle of June after this crazy pandemic just happened? Or are you going to opt to stay inside? I don't know, man. I feel like you might choose the latter.
So I saw a LinkedIn post about this today because it was like a meme, and it said, who led the digital transformation of your company? It was like CEO, no. CTO, no. COVID-19, yes.
Yes.
This is an event for you to consider, a thing for you to consider too, just in event planning, like how to give a digital component to it.
Oh yeah.
That's like how
we're becoming experts on that pretty damn quickly, man.
Oh yeah. Like with the marathon, like how can you have like a virtual thing in the name tag, like I guess that's more for them, but how
no, but it is, it's shifting the whole thing virtually, because you're not going to want a mass conglomerate, nor are we going to want that as well. So
no,
we have to figure out a way around it. And that goes with, commencements that we work on. And yeah, it's a whole lot of moving parts in this.
Absolutely. And my wife texted me like 15 minutes ago. So, she just sent me a TikTok.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like I was being too loud.
I'm not on TikTok. I don't know what the hype is.
Oh yeah. It's the biggest time suck in the world. I've been on and off it again, like so many times.
I'm not the best with social media, man. I'm a really bad millennial.
Oh yeah. I hate social media. I'm more of a lurker than anything else. Like
nice.
I don't really participate in conversation. I don't know. But
you'll be like, oh, I saw you got married. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I announced it to everybody. Was like, hey, I got married, and that's about it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I posted that, and then I haven't posted on Instagram since.
Good for you.
I don't really like anything on Instagram either because the way they cater it, or the way the algorithm works, like it bases on what you like and what you follow. And I don't like them knowing what I like, so I don't like anything. I don't Twitter is
Sure.
really the thing that the thing that I enjoy the most.
Me too.
I have an account that that's where I tweet at people because I can't really tweet what I want to tweet
Yeah.
with my name on it.
You have a burner account. Yeah.
Damn right I do.
You are Kevin Durant. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I be? Why everybody should have a burner. I truly believe so.
Oh God, everyone should have a burner.
Yeah, I think, why wouldn't you? Have the one where you say the things that you think people want to hear, right? And then you say the things that you don't give a damn who hears. That's at least how I look at it.
I don't know, man. If you're Kevin Durant, I don't think you got to hop on Twitter and defend yourself. I think you could literally just shoot a basketball and tell people to shut the F up.
See, that's where he's different. That's where he's a different cat.
He totally is.
He is a completely different animal.
I think Kevin Durant's psyche could be an entire podcast episode, to be totally honest with you.
I
think that man operates on a totally different wavelength than
I could talk. I mean, basketball, I think, is my – I love basketball in terms of watching. I think I enjoy watching basketball more than I do football. I just know more about football, I think, than I know about basketball. But
I think I'm more passionate about basketball.
Really? We should do a basketball episode.
Don't get me wrong, I love football, clearly, obviously.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm a big basketball nerd, man. God damn.
Right. Yep, I love. Yeah, I'm not. Basketball is dangerous to get to talking to people about because I have very strong opinions about certain things, and there's just no talking me down on them. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely explore those at a later date.
I think our four listeners would be honored.
We actually had 30 on the last YouTube.
That's
video.
awesome.
Yeah, man. I haven't checked the SoundCloud yet, but
Right.
So yeah. What anything else that you'd like to add, Justin, before we hang up?
I don't think so.
To everyone listening, we had time limits to talk about certain things.
Yeah, we just went way over all of it. We'll get better. You know what?
We'll try.
We will, absolutely.
But
we
I think
do
that
side
just goes to-
banter.
I think that's one of our positives is that we just get so passionate about talking about these things.
Exactly. And the chemistry is clearly there, man.
Yeah, I think
no awkward pauses. I could genuinely keep talking about the same topic for probably about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, because this is what we did in college, and this is we're bringing it to you, all four of you now. So
all 30.
For Justin, I am TJ. Thank you for listening to week 2, and we'll be back with week 3 with a special guest. I can neither confirm nor deny who this guest is, but this person will be joining us.
I have a fun feeling.
Week. Nope. We'll see. We thank you for listening again, and have a great rest of whatever time you're listening to this.
Stay safe.